Hi, everyone. I'm Michelle Nichols of Soulful Integration. And today with me, I have as a guest, Rebecca Tervo, and we are going to go into human design, but we're going to be looking into the specifics of life purpose, which I'm really excited about just because, I felt a lot of times in my life that I wasn't clear on my life purpose, and anything that can give me clarity is great. I think you guys are really going to enjoy Rebecca. We've been friends for a couple of years, and she's amazing at what she does with her life purpose, and she has a ton of other skills. But so, Rebecca, welcome.
Thank you. I'm excited to get started on the presentation. So I actually have a slide that I introduce myself more. So I think when we get into the presentation, I'll just introduce myself a little more. You want me to start sharing my screen?
Perfect. Yeah, let's do it. Let's just jump right in.
I'll share my screen and then we can, view the slideshow. Okay, so you can see it right now?
Yep, how to use human design to live your purpose.
Yay.
Beautiful.
Okay, cool. So I'm Rebecca Tervo and I'm a 1-4 emotional manifesting generator. So if you don't know what that is, no big deal, because I'm going to cover some of that stuff today. And hopefully you'll understand a little bit more about yourself as well when we talk about that. But I'm a certified life coach, school coach, a certified quantum human design specialist, and a certified EFT practitioner. And up until now, I have been using all that stuff in my business. And I was just telling Michelle that I am going back into the workforce after being at home since 2016, working only in a business. So, and that is significant about the line 4 in me, I think. As you see, I'm a 1-4. The line 4 really likes to connect with people. And I think I need more in-person connection, especially after the last 2 years where we've been just at home. Ugh. Anyways, that just wasn't good for me.
No, it's been so hard. It's really a tough time for people. And I know I'm excited to be getting back out into the world a little bit myself as well.
I know. Well, it really kind of shut me down. Even though I was super excited working in a business, it was like when everything else outside shut down and now everybody was at home, it was like, wait a minute, I don't know if I really want to do this like this.
Right. Got it. No. Me too.
Anyway, so human design found me. And I always say it found me because literally that's how things happen for generator types and manifesting generator types. Like you're here to respond to the world, right? It's not like you have to go out searching for things. They just come in. It's really fun. So this is what human design can do for you. And I'm going to look at a couple of things today in the realm of purpose. That's what we're going to look at, the lens of it. But this is a general overview, which some of you might already know some of this stuff, but use your energy the way you are designed, express your unique gifts, be authentic. That's so important. This is what human design has helped me with, is being authentic and accepting who I am. Find your purpose.
So huge.
Yeah, exactly. Find your purpose, gain clarity in how you make decisions, reconnect your body's wisdom. Oh my goodness, that's a big one too. So many people don't understand that their body has so much wisdom to offer. And I can tell you so many stories about when I shut down my body and decide that no, my brain knows better. It's not healthy,
Yeah, when I'm looking into my body and I'm paying attention, life flows better, but I still have a tendency to get too heady as well.
Yes, it doesn't. Yes, we all do that. And then find the business or life success model that works for you. So I'm going to tell, so my signature program is called Bloomed. And so everything I create, including today's session, is related somehow to my Bloomed program, right? So all of the things in the Bloomed flower here mean something, and they all relate to human design placement. So today we're going to talk about 2 of them. We're going to talk about be authentically you, which is the B, and then live your purpose, which is the L. And I'm just going to go over like more of an overview of those, but then I'm going to give you the opportunity at the end that you can get a workshop, a self-study workshop that goes over the whole Bloomed foundation. Okay.
Ooh, sound fun? That's exciting.
Yeah. Yes. So, okay, let me put that over here because I can't see the whole slide because you're in the way. Anyways, so
do I need to move us?
Nope, I did. I can move you on my screen. So I moved you over there. So first one, be authentic. So this is about like, how can you fully express who you are and how do you use your energy the way you are designed? You can't live your purpose unless you are showing up as you anyways, right? So I wanted
Right.
to talk about that kind of as a little bit of a foundation before we start talking about purpose. It's like, if you're being inauthentic, it's going to be really hard to live your purpose. For instance, for years, I've shut myself down and decided to try to follow the quote rules of the church that I grew up in.
Yep.
I've been doing that for 50 years. I'm just like, this year I decided I'm done with that. I had a health problem in 2021. And what I recognized is I wasn't being true to me. I was still trying to people please and follow the rules I was taught as a kid, and some church, over there who said I needed to do things this way. And I just didn't believe it. And there was so much cognitive dissonance in my head. And I'd been struggling for so long. And I finally had a life-threatening issue with my health. And I was like, that's enough. Like, life is too short to live the way I don't want to live. Right. So I think authenticity is huge. Do you agree, Michelle?
I absolutely agree. And the thing that popped up for me is it's so interesting because we spend all these, I hate the word indoctrination, but I'm going to use it anyway. We spend all these years being indoctrinated through school, through society, through our families, through our church, all these different organizations, right? And I believe from what you're telling me that you have the same thing. I've had to spend years trying to cancel the word trying. I spent years working out and figuring out who I am, what it meant to be authentic. And that often didn't resonate with everything that I had been taught.
Exactly.
And it was an awesome process, but at the same time, going through it, there were some challenges. It didn't feel awesome.
No, I know. Well, I mean, this year I wrote letters to my family, my parents and my siblings, to tell them I am leaving the church. That's how terrible it is. It's like it's the whole structure for our life. Our church was, right?
Gotcha.
Our whole life is wrapped around that church, the community, the way you live, the way you behave, the clothes you wear, or the things you're allowed to do, right? The way you're allowed to act, the things you're allowed or not allowed to do. And I was like, I'm over 50 now. I get to make my own decisions. I'm like, why is that so hard? I don't know. So it is hard. I've been kind of grieving that process of knowing I'm going to lose some community because of that.
Absolutely. And that's tough.
And it's hard. But in another way, it's so freeing. I'm like, I get to wear nail polish. So, I mean, how silly, but I'm like, I'm actually getting my nails done, and I'm just going to be me now. And it's okay. I can get my hair colored if I want.
You can look good in hot pink, I think.
What was that?
No, I'm teasing you. I said, you could rock a hot pink.
Right. No, I got it really, what did she do? She highlighted, I've never really had my hair done, right? I've always been just we can only do it this way. And so I'm like, you know what? That's enough. I get to live the life I want. And it has opened up so many opportunities for me. Michelle, I was telling you about these jobs that landed in my lap. That's what happened. I became more authentic. I healed myself from that thing I had, which, by the way, it was iron deficient anemia, but it was terrible. It was to the point the doctor said I was on the verge of a heart attack. It was bad. I was like, oh my gosh, it's a blood disorder, and blood disorders are related to authenticity. Isn't that crazy?
That is crazy.
That woke me up. I'm like,
hopefully
that's
you can
enough.
help us skip this step, because we don't want that.
Right. No. So I want you to see, where are you not being authentic in your life? And I will talk about each of these types on the next slide, but where are you not being authentic? First of all, overall, that because I knew for a long time, for years, that, well, this doesn't feel right to me or feel good to me. But you know what? It's the way I was taught. And I don't know what else to do, because I want to be in the community. You know how sometimes we give up some parts of ourselves, and it wasn't working for me anymore. So just looking at everything for yourself is important. So these are the types, and I'm going to look at the quantum purpose. This is the quantum purpose for each of these types. If you guys know,
perfect.
Quantum sound good to you? Is that a good word?
I think that's a great word.
It's a spiritual word, right? So it's these are kind of the quantum purposes. So for manifestors, you're here to initiate people into the frequency of transformation and creativity. And what I mean by that, and a different way to say about manifestors, right? If we were building a town, the manifestor has this vision, and they're here to initiate the rest of us and say, hey, and they're here to inform us on their vision. Hey guys, I see there's this place, we're going to build a town over here. This is what I see it looking like. That's really their job. And so a lot of manifestors aren't living in authenticity with their type because they're shutting down their power. And when manifestors shut down their power, they're not initiating us. So
Gotcha. Yeah.
that's very important for manifestors to be out there initiating and just saying what and informing everybody. But when they're shutting themselves down, they're not informing anybody, because they feel, then they become people pleasers, to be honest. I know several manifestors who are very much people pleasers. And
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah, that makes sense.
yeah, they're hiding, and they've been told in their life they're too much. They're too much, they're too big, they're too powerful. But that's the problem. They're here to do that. So sometimes some of us get like, what is the word I want to say? If we feel a manifestor's energy, we feel like, oh, right? Because it is meant to initiate us. It's meant to make us go, oh, right? Like,
So manifestors give us that kind of aha kind of energy. Yeah.
Yeah. To like make us, oh, maybe I want to do that, or it'll give us more ideas of what we can be working on, right? According to that vision. So then the projectors, Michelle is a projector, yay.
Yep. Yay.
The lovely projectors, I would say lovely projectors. Projectors are here to hold the energy template of what's to come and to clear the vibration of the collective consciousness. Now that sounds kind of like, what? But what I want to tell you is projectors are here to like guide the work. If we want to look at it in a more real way, like if the manifestor says, hey, here's the town, the projector is going to see that vision and they're going to take it and be able to like lay it out for the rest of us. They're going to put it in a plan and be like, oh, I see that. Okay, here's what needs to be done. You know what I mean? And it's like holding that template of what needs to be done.
But we don't have to do all of that. We just have to hold the space.
You just have to hold the space. That's it. There's no work involved. It's just like guiding the work though, too, is like, what I want to say is when I have projectors who work with me as a manifesting generator, it's amazing because I have 10 zillion ideas of blah, blah, I want to go here, do this, blah. Like I have so many things going on and they're like, okay, let me just show you how we can like slow down this process, and work on this first, right? So I have projectors that help me and put down my processes. So
I'm really loving this as a review for myself, because I will talk with people when I'm working with my own clients and they'll have 10,000 ideas. And I'll just be like, no, this is the one thing you need to do next. And sometimes I feel kind of bossy because to me, it's absolutely clear. I can cut right through and I can just be like, this is your next step. You don't have to worry about all these other things.
Yes. And I would say for projectors, when we say that to hold the energy template, that just means also that they're doing work even when they're not working, which is so important for projectors to rest. We also projectors, you need to make sure to rest, know the balance of work and rest, right? Because you can get so burned out. Because when you're around generator energy, you're taking the energy and you can borrow generator energy to work, but then you can't sustain it. So sometimes projectors can feel even like they have way more energy than a generator because they're taking the generator's energy and they're amplifying it and they're like, but then they just burn out and fizzle out, right? So
I've done it. Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, it's important to know when it's time to rest. And so projectors are also here to be kind of the, what was I going to say? You're the example of how to balance work and rest. If you can do it yourself and be in integrity with your type, right? You're here to show us how to do that. So yeah, projectors are amazing at seeing individual people. I think a lot of projectors like that individualness with like to be looking at one person and seeing what they need, right? It's like, you're really very good at that.
Absolutely. Groups are a little bit harder. I mean, I can do it, but that's not really where my zone of genius is.
I know. Yes, projectors are really good at one-on-one work. Now, generators are here to actually do the work and manifest the creativity. And when I said express through devotion to mastery, meaning they get devoted to something and they master it. Like generators are good. Think of ballet dancers or professional piano players or whatever, like something that takes just a lot of practice and a lot of work. Projectors are really kind of like, or not projectors, generators are like that, right? they can really devote themselves to mastering something. And so think of generators as builders of the town. They're going to go, but the thing about generators that needs to be known though, is they need to do work that lights them up. So if they're doing something that they don't feel excited about, it's going to be really difficult, and they can get burned out by that. And so it's important for generators to do work that lights them up, and to not stop when they're frustrated, because they might just be at a plateau and they're heading to mastering something. It's important for them to devote themselves and master things. And then the difference between generators and manifesting generators are generators, but they're more here to like speed up the quantum process. So it's about like physically manifesting, but also working on many things because they're trying to find the efficiencies. And sometimes other people might look at them like, you're just like all over the place. What are you doing? And I actually feel like that sometimes. I'm like, people must just think I'm crazy. Like I got to have a job. I have to have accounting clients. I have to have human design clients. I have to do, a YouTube channel and a podcast. I'm like, what? But honestly, it keeps my energy busy. Like if I am trying to focus on one thing at a time, this is important for manifesting generators. You've been told maybe just focus on that thing. And especially in business coaching, people are like, just focus on one type of client and one offer, and do that until you're really good at that. And that just totally shuts down our energy. I can tell you, I tried that. That didn't work for me. So if you've been told that, say, no, I need to maybe keep my energy busy. When this feels boring, I need to go and work on these other things, right? It's to keep your energy busy so you can keep feeding the creativity, so that when it's time to
kind of jump around between multiple things.
Yeah. Like when you're building a town, you might be building like 3 or 4 different buildings at a time, where the generator has a process and they're building this one thing. They're going to get it done. Then they're going to move to the next thing, right? That's the difference between the generator and manifesting generator.
Yeah, that's like
there's a reason for the madness. Let me tell you. So, and then the reflectors, now only 1% of the population are reflectors, but their purpose is to measure through reflection the human condition and human potential, meaning they're like mirrors. So if you're with a reflector, you're going to get reflected back whatever's going on with you. So it's not even about the person you're with. You might think, what is going on with them? No, it's about me, right? It's like they're reflecting back what they're seeing in me. And so it's really important to know that about reflectors, but you won't see them very often. I've only had, I think, 2 reflectors I've done hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of readings, and I've only had 2 reflectors.
Yeah,
like, where are the reflectors? My sister is a reflector, but I've never told her that. I use her as a study thing. Like, oh, that's interesting.
And your sister will totally come and watch the video and you'll be outed. Nah, just yeah.
She won't. No, but I don't know that she would really jive with human design. But anyways, so I want to talk about the challenges, and I kind of did. So I just want to go over them. I think I might have talked a little bit about them, but the challenges for the manifestor is to fully express their power. I think I talked about that. If you're shutting yourself down, you're not being authentic. Yeah. The projector, your challenge is to value yourself and your wisdom enough to be patient and wait to be invited into the right opportunities. That is challenging for projectors. They're out there trying to act like generators, most of them.
Yeah. There's a huge learning curve, and that waiting for the invitation thing, really hard, especially when we're talking about running a business, because I still haven't quite grasped the waiting for the invitation versus in a business setting. And that is not the wisdom that you get from most coaches.
No, it's not. And what I would say to that is, when you're like you said, you're building a community. That's great. When people come into your community, they've invited you now. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So now you're invited. You're in the community sharing all your knowledge. They're there to listen because they invited you.
Awesome.
Anybody who follows you on social media or signs up for your email list has invited you to talk to them.
And that's a good way to wrap your head around it.
Yeah, that's the energetic invitation. So what you need to do as projectors is build whatever foundation you want to build, whatever lights you up, whatever makes you feel happy, and people will find it. Whoops, sorry, I keep doing that. Oh, my mic, I gotta stop that. People will find it because you're like a lighthouse. And when you're aligned, your energy, the lights will beam out, right? The lighthouse doesn't get off the rock and go find the ships. The ships come and find the lighthouse.
So
right?
build it, they will come.
Yeah, build the foundation of whatever you are, and be make sure that you feel energetic. So being able to rest enough to be, you won't get any invitations when your energy is shut down. So when you're burnt out, you're not getting invitations. That's just how it works. You need to be regenerated, re-energized, rested. And when you're in your energy and you feel good about what you're doing, that's when the invitations show up. So that's kind of for projectors.
Yeah, I can relate to that.
Yeah. So generators, the challenge is to be patient. Again, patience and trusting that the next step will show up, because generators are here to surrender to the response of their sacral, meaning you have this gut response to things. And when it feels juicy, that's the right thing for you. And when it doesn't feel juicy, it's probably not the right thing. So don't let your head come in and say, oh, that just feels icky, but I'm going to do it because, right, there goes the people pleasing, and then you burn yourself out and blah, blah, blah. And we all do this, right?
Yes, we do.
We all do the people pleasing thing at some point. So the manifesting generators, again, the challenge, there's something about the manifesting generator is a combination of manifestor and generator, right? So there's a challenge of, again, about trusting your sacral response. But the challenge is more so for manifesting generators of expending their energy on things that are coming from their head, right? Instead of creating and letting themselves respond with their sacral, and allowing yourself to work on multiple things at once. And I think I talked about that. When you shut yourself down and try to only work on one thing, you may feel burnt out. So then it's time to say, oh yeah, I need to go work on something else for a while, because you do need to keep your energy busy. You're not the kind that's going to go take a nap. Like projectors are great. It's really a good thing for projectors to just shut down and go rest. Manifesting generators might not like that. They still need to keep busy sometimes, right? So it's important to allow yourself to work on different things. And then the reflectors, the challenge is to let go of the need to fix what isn't working, and to trust that the right timing of the universe will support the world in the transformation it needs. So reflectors, in similar way as projectors, reflectors can really see what needs to be changed. But then if they try to fix it, that's going to turn so many people off. So their job is just to kind of notice it and hope people will see them in their wisdom too, right? But not, their job isn't to fix it. So they have to be patient. And I know that could be hard. You know, all of us need some patience in some way or another, you know, no matter who we are. So.
And I think we all struggle with patience a little bit. I might be projecting there, you know, pun intended, but.
I know. It's not easy, because what we've been told, go out there, make it happen, go do it. Like, you know, I call it sausage marketing, the men who've taught us how to market, right?
Yeah.
It's like, go do it, go get it, go, work 80 hours a week. Like, people have made this like a thing. And it's like, but what if life doesn't have to be that way? It doesn't have to be hard. It doesn't have to be a lot of work. It doesn't have to feel exhausting. Right? That's the thing that I like about human design. If we can just recognize this and align more with our energy, and maybe things will actually feel easier instead of harder.
We can
so
hope.
Now I'm going to
sure.
go on to the next part. I'm sorry. Do you have anything to wrap up?
No, I was just going to say, we can certainly hope that it's feeling easier for us, because that feels so nice when it feels easy and everything's just in the flow.
Oh, I love being in the flow. I can tell when I'm in the flow versus out of the flow. And I've been studying human design since 2019. And even though you know all of it, you still get off track over there somewhere. You're like, wait a minute, I'm not even listening to my gut anymore. You know, just like it happens to all of us.
Yeah, we just have to come back and start over as many times as it's required, and then forgive ourselves and give ourselves grace for having to start over and forgetting all of this.
Exactly. So what I want to say is, you just keep coming back to it. You keep coming back to it. It's just how it is. So, I mean, at one point I was teaching everybody else how to do it, and I totally forgot to do it for myself. And then I totally burned myself out. In my business. I was like, why? I was having all this business and telling over and over again, here's a lesson from the manifesting generator part. I, at one point, might have been really aligned. And so then I got so much business, I was overwhelmed. So for 2 full months, I was only doing human design readings and teachings, and I had like human design clients. And I was I had no boundaries around my time because people were just coming in droves. It was the weirdest thing ever. I made a lot of money, but after that 2 months, and I went to Hawaii for vacation because it was like already planned. That was so weird how it happened at that. The timing of it was perfect because I literally needed a break. I was getting so exhausted. I wasn't eating correctly. I was like having appointments, seven to eight appointments a day, and some on the weekends. I mean, I was like, it was crazy. There wasn't enough time on my schedule, right, for all the things I was doing. And I went to Hawaii and I was just so burned out. And then when I came back, I was like, I don't really want to do all those readings and those, and I can't even do it anymore. But here's the thing, I was so focused on just this one thing. I had no time for anything different than human design readings and teachings. And do you know what I mean? Like I had nothing, I didn't have any other things in my life. I was so busy with that. And that really did shut me down as the manifesting generator. It just felt terrible. I'm like, I'm so confused because this is what I was taught to do. Just bring in as many one-on-one clients as you can, fill your schedule. I learned that I am not to fill my schedule with one-on-one clients. It didn't work for me.
No,
other people
there's
might
definitely
like
a learning curve, and
I know.
you really,
I think, go ahead.
I was just going to say that I've been in a couple of programs, and the biggest thing that I have learned from the programs that I've been into is if it's not feeling right for you, just let it go. You know best. It's nice to listen to the expert, but if it is feeling off, it's not going to work for you. It's not sustainable.
And this is what I would say is, even though, like I said, I had been studying human design for a while before that happened. So I knew I was out of integrity with my type, right? I knew I was out of integrity with myself overall. If I'm feeling shut down and exhausted, there's something wrong. But I wasn't listening to my gut sacral about that. I was just going and pleasing and taking more on. And it was just crazy. So it's important to know money isn't everything. Honestly, when you're like so burnt out, but you've got this money, that didn't help me. I was like, I cannot sustain this. I couldn't even do it for 2 months. Like I shouldn't have done it for 2 months, right? So it's important to know that, like, feel into your body. How does it feel for you? If it doesn't feel good, there's something wrong. Like change the way you're doing things. And I did that in a major way now this year, because that part was part of my health breakdown. That happened before I found out about my health problem. And I'm like, well, that probably contributed to it a little bit, So yeah, it's super interesting.
I feel like if we don't listen to our body will keep trying, and then it just keeps going, and eventually it might get really in your face about it.
Well, it gets to the point where it's so bad it has to like literally cause something terrible to happen because you weren't listening. So it's gonna like get louder and louder until there's something that you have to go to the hospital and get a blood transfusion for, because that's what I had to do. I mean, it got to that point. Now, duh, you know what I mean? So it's like, wait, listen, so I actually had to force myself to take rest, which was super difficult for me for like 4 months. But what I want to say about that is during those 4 months, I was really thinking, how can I come back to my business after this and do things that really feel fun, that feel good to me, that make money, but that don't burn me out. You know what I mean? And I had to question everything. Like literally, I questioned everything. So yeah, so what are the things I love to do? I love teaching. So I'm like, well, I could still teach in online courses. I don't even have to teach in person. I can put together videos and offer them online. You know what I mean? Like there's things I love to do. Let's just take the things you love to do and do more of those,
Absolutely. I love that. I love that so much.
I know. On that note, let's talk about the purpose stuff. So in the purpose, I'm going to talk about your personality profile in a really deep, interesting way, because I studied the personality profile in so many different ways for many, many months. And like I taught it different. It was a fabulous way. I think it's one of the most important parts of a chart. So usually even what I want to know about people is, what is their personality profile? Before I even know their type, I think there's more depth in the personality profile than in the type. So that's why I want to talk about that today. So what I want to show you on this slide is that your personality profile is made up of the numbers in the top 4 placements on your human design chart. So on the right side, this is mine. Okay, so I have a 1. You see the 1, the 0.1,
Yep.
and I have a 4.4. We start with the mind side, that's the first number, and then we have the body side. So it'll look like a fraction,
Okay.
right? So on this, so these are all the profiles that you're going to find. There's 12 of them. There's 6 numbers and there's 12 profiles. Now, the first line of your profile is what you are focused on and aware of. Okay, and I'm going to talk about each line in the next slide, but I want to talk about what they each mean. So the first line, what you're focused on and aware of. So if you're a 2, you're focused on that specific energy in the 2. The second line is what your body needs. This is so important. I can tell you about my what happened with me when I wasn't getting what my body needs as a line 4. But what your body needs, what comes naturally, make sure you're getting the needs met of the second line to live out the purpose of your first line. That's how I want you to look at it. So I'm a 1-4. When I wasn't getting the 4 needs met, it was really difficult for me to pass along information as a line 1. So let's go and tell you what these lines mean first before I talk about that more. So line 1 is the resource. Okay. So line 1, think of line 1 as down in the basement building a foundation. So there's a security of the information. So line 1s could tend to be really analyzing things a lot, like looking for all the answers before they make a decision. Even sometimes they feel really insecure without all the information. But the important part of their purpose is to pass along that information to the rest of us, right? So line 1s are here to pass along information because they've done a lot of research. So they're here to and they generally just like researching. That's just like who they are. They like to read, they like to learn. Not that nobody else likes to learn, but I'm just saying that the purpose of the line 1 is to pass along that information. So think of them kind of as teachers.
Okay.
Now the line 2 is here to integrate the knowledge that they have. So actually, I didn't write this like this, but there's a way that I think of this in my head. I've taught this in so many different ways. Oh my gosh. If the line 1 is building this knowledge, line 2 takes that knowledge and integrates it. Okay. So they're the ones that are, we could almost, in the old human design language, which I don't use a lot, but we called the line 2 the hermit, because they're the ones that are going to go in the cave and they're going to be by themselves so they can integrate the knowledge that they have. So that they can wait for others to call them out. Meaning line 2 doesn't even know what they know. They don't even think it's important what they know. They've integrated it. They know the stuff. And then people are like, hey, you would know this. Why don't you teach that? They're like, well, I thought everybody knew that. You know what I mean? It's sort of a natural thing. And you're a 2, right, Michelle?
Yeah. So I'm
So
totally laughing because I can totally relate to that. I do it all the time. I assume that everybody knows all the stuff I know. So clearly what's the point in sharing it?
Exactly. And so when I say others will call you out, it's like people will be like, hey, honestly, we would love to learn this from you. Or it's something you didn't even think was worth charging for or anything, right? That's what it is. So the line 2 is here to respond to being called out, to share the information. Now, line 3 is taking the information that line 1 has shared, but they're exploring and experiencing it. So they're out there, like line 3s have to experience stuff in order to learn it. That's just how they learn. So line 3s might feel like failures a lot of times. They're not failing. That's part of the learning process for line 3 is like, they try this out, well, that didn't work. Then they try the next thing, well, that didn't work. So some line 3s are really line 3s in relationships, meaning they try out tons of different ways of having relationships and ton of different relationships, and they think they're so failing at relationships, but that's just how they learn. Other line 3s might be more about business stuff, like they try 10 zillion things in business. Now, the important thing about their purpose is that they can share those experiences with the rest of us. Right? To say, hey, I tried that and that didn't work, but I tried that and that worked. You know what I mean? Like they're here to kind of share their experiences to teach others about that. So
I love that. Yeah.
Yeah. And then line 4s are here to build those communities to share that information with. So in the line 1, 2, and 3, we're more like the individual lines, where it's more yourself, right? Line 1 is like studying by themselves or taking classes by themselves. Line 2 is like out over in the cave trying to integrate it by themselves. Line 3 is actually experiencing it themselves. Now we get into line 4, which is more about community. Line 4 is here to bring together community and create community in order to pass that information around in a community.
Yeah, that
And to
makes
spread
sense.
ideas. Yeah. So we'll see how we're moving up about how we take information in each of these
Yeah.
lines. And then line 5 is the visionary leader. So line 5s are here to kind of be karmic mirrors for others. So it's about like, they're karmic mirrors, but they get these things projected on them. I always think of this as a projected line because, so line 5 can see this vision. They teach and share the highest potential, but they're also projected on from others, similar as a 2, but in a little different way. So line 5s are like, people are telling them or expecting a lot from them. Let's say it that way. People expect so much from line 5s that on the next slide, I'm going to tell you about the needs of all these lines. But if a line 5 doesn't have good boundaries, they can possibly be working on a lot of things that aren't really for them, because people will just see them as the visionary leader, where in some spaces they aren't meant to be the leader. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
line 5s, yeah, they're here to provide solutions in certain things, not in everything, but
So more of like
you
a
know,
specialized solution. Yeah.
yeah, like it's like whatever aligns with their energy the best, right? So if something that they align with, they're going to be an amazing leader in that space. And people will call on them to be the leader in that space, right? It's a projected line 5 is. But in other ways, people will call them to do things that aren't really for them to do, because people expect, it's like you can tell line 5 sometimes because you think, oh, everybody's like, oh yeah, so-and-so, they'll be able to solve that problem. Like, and then you put that expectation on that person.
Yeah.
I've heard, this is a simple explanation of line 5s. Several line 5s tell me this. One said, whenever I'm in an airport, everybody thinks that I know the answer to where they're supposed to go. They all come up to me asking for directions. I don't work at the airport. I'm just there as a passenger, but that's the line 5 energy. I'm like, yes, you're exuding this energy. You don't even know you're doing it, but it's just like people think you know the answers, and then they expect that you know the answers. Another person said the same thing about being in a store. They said, whenever I'm in a store, people think I work there. They're like, hey, do you know where this is in the aisles? I'm just like, it's so funny, right? I'm like, that's the line 5 energy. So I think it's important, especially for line 5s, have strong boundaries. Is there anything you want to say about that?
I was just going to say that could be kind of frustrating, because when our expectations aren't met, sometimes we get frustrated. So why does this person in the airport not know exactly where I'm going? What's wrong with
but
that?
that's what I'm saying. Even in work situations, people might expect that line 5 to do more than the line 5 even knows how to do or even wants to do. And then the people get really frustrated, right? Which is why line 5s are going to have to be really clear about boundaries. Here's the things I know how, here's the things I can't do, it's that kind of thing. And then the line 6 is called the adapt. So the purpose for the line 6 is to experience, integrate, and demonstrate the highest potential of consciousness on the planet. So it's like line 6s are way up on the top of the roof. They're like looking down. They can see what's happening in all the other lines. And they're like, wait a minute, I see the next phase. So see this, if we're looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, we're going to go back to 1. It circles around to the 1 because now the 1 is seeing the next vision the 6 has, and the 1 is going to start again, like, what was I going to say? Researching. The 1 is going to start researching that next phase the line 6 has. The 1 is going to start researching. They're going to take the information and pass it on. They're going to like teach it. And then the line 2 is going to take the information, integrate it. The line 3 is going to explore and experience it. The line 4 is going to build the community to pass it around. The line 5 is going to provide that community, this visionary leadership and the simple solutions. And then it comes back to the 6 again. And the 6 is going to see how that has evolved. And they're going to see the next vision. Do you see what I mean?
That's
and
beautiful.
Then the line 1
love
sees
how that integrates.
Yeah. And the line 1 is like, wait, oh, another vision. Oh my gosh, I have to see what that's all about. I can totally tell you this is my line 1. Every time I see something, I'm like, oh, what's that all about? Then I'm off like reading 10 books about it and taking classes about it. So it's just, we're really curious as line 1. So it's great. We have these line 6 to show us how to be the role model too. That's how I was going to say too, to be a role model and show us how to live it. And you're the line 6, Michelle. Are you past the age of 50?
No, I am 43 as of yesterday.
So you're in your second phase then. right? And you've probably heard this before. So
Yeah.
line 6 has 3 phases. The first phase up to about the age 30 or 35, the line 6 is really a line 3. So they're exploring, they're learning through exploration and experiencing.
That
That's what's
makes a lot of
happening.
sense when you tell me that.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. That's very interesting.
Yes. And then the second phase, when you're in the second phase, you have actually the line 6 has almost less energy in the second phase than they did in the first phase, because in the second phase, they're integrating it. So you're like between the age of 35-ish to 50, you're kind of, we call it on the roof, because you're like integrating. You're now being kind of seeing how you're observing, like what's going on in the world, and you're integrating what you experienced in those first 30 to 35 years. And you're waiting to be the role model. The role model is at the age of 50 and on, right? So when you're a role model, you're being the role model in what you've learned, right? And you're then demonstrating. So there are 3 phases in the line 6.
That's really good to know. Although it's interesting because, when I was 18 years old, at sometimes I felt like the role model even back then.
Well, right. And here's the thing I know about line 6s too, is that they're very impatient. My daughter is a line 6s start with a vision in life. And they're like, why doesn't everybody see this thing that I see? Right. It's like, why can't you? And my daughter is like this, and she's only 23, but she gets so impatient with other people her age, or even when she was in college, especially in high school, she was like, oh, these people just don't know what the heck? And why, mom, why don't I'm like, Kendra, just, they're not like you. And I didn't even know about human design at that point. But when I found out, I'm like, oh, this makes so much sense for Kendra. Like, oh, I get it. Like, there's generally a vision, and you're so impatient for that vision to happen. And what I have to say for line 6s is please be patient, because line 6s, it takes up to after 50 years even for your vision to start being able for you to see it coming into place. Do you know what I mean?
I need that tattooed on my body or something, because totally impatient.
You need to be patient, because it'll happen, but in the right timing. And it's probably not until 50 or later, right? So it's okay. Like, you need this time to integrate all the things, and which I see you doing, right? You're like learning things and integrating. Yeah. So that's what, it's interesting to me too. So I want to talk about the needs of the lines, because remember I talked about, I'll tell you how to put it together again after this slide, but if you look at what your second line is, mine is a 4 and Michelle's is a 2. So the line 1, if you have a line 1 as a second line, you need to feel secure by building the foundation of knowledge. It's similar to what I told you about the purpose, but it's important for you to feel secure with your knowledge before you pass it along. So if you're a 5-1, for instance, or a 4-1, those are the two with the line 1 at the second phase, you need to make sure you have that foundation knowledge. Line 2, if you have a line 2, 6 2s and 5 2s, you need alone time to integrate. Make sure that when you want to be alone, you just let yourself be alone. Don't force yourself to be with people when you want to be alone. It's really important. Line 3, if you're a 6-3, or what is the other one? 6-3. I don't know. I think it's just 6-3. You need to make sure you're allowing yourself to explore and experience, and don't consider yourself a failure just because whatever you're experiencing isn't working out. It's okay. You're here to explore and experience. If you have a line 4 in the second, which is the line 1 4s and 2 4s, you need to build deep connections and trust that this next step, or trust that you'll know the next step. Line 4s tend to have a hard time leaving. So when I was talking about my religious experience of staying until I'm 50, line 4s have a hard time leaving a trusted foundation, right? Before they know what's next. And I think it took me a long time to get to this point where I could okay, I'm going to find another community. It'll be okay. But the reason I also think I needed to go out and get jobs now is because I'm just tired of not having in-person connection. It's really important for line 4. So that's the need of my line that wasn't getting met, for a while. So so that's just be aware of what your needs are. Now line 5, which is 2 5s and 3 5s, the visionary leader. So you need to have healthy boundaries. That's what I was saying. So make sure that you, especially if you're 2 5 or 3 5, that your healthy boundaries are in place, because your body will feel terrible when you're not having any boundaries. And then line 6, if you have a 6 in the second, which is the 3 6s and 4 6s, you need to hold on to your vision, and be living is an example of that. Meaning, hold on to your vision. Be patient with your vision. I should have put that here too. Be patient with your vision, because even the 4 6s, I know plenty of 4 6s who are out there trying to impatiently make things happen. They're being so impatient about it all. So
again, it's that whole hustle and grind. We're told move, 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 hustle, make it work. And that doesn't work for all of us.
Exactly. So if you go back and look at the slides and look at the first slide for your first number and the second slide for your second number, I just put mine together to show you how I'm a 1-4. So my purpose is to build a foundation of research and knowledge to share with a community of others who trust me and are in my networks as I help them feel stable and safe when exploring new possibilities. I kind of put that together for myself in my own wording so that I feel good about it. But I need to have connection and trust. That's my line 4, in order to fully share my knowledge, which is my line 1. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's the example I wanted to give about purpose.
I love it.
Yeah. And then, oh my goodness, we're exactly on time, Michelle. I just want to review this. So the offer I want to give today is that the workshop that I have is called the Ease and Flow Human Design Workshop. And what I do in that workshop is go through all of these petals. The B and the L, I actually go through a little bit different things too than what I just told you today, because I was trying to look through the lens of purpose here too in a more general way. But all of these have things in your chart that you can learn about yourself. And this workshop it's very much, me, as I love workshops, which are like, okay, here's the workbook and do this and do, right? Go and integrate. So there's going to be in that, there's a 60-minute video workshop, plus there's a video like 10 minutes or 15 minutes at the most on each type. Plus there's the workbook. So that's what you get in that. And it's an online study by yourself, or whatever you want to say, like do it in your own timing, right? You get the resources delivered to you. So you can sign up at rebeccatervo.com/flow and use the coupon code Michelle. Yay. Remember, it's with 2 L's to get it for only $27. So
that's a fabulous deal. If you want to learn something new, I'd totally recommend doing it. And there is so much to human design. So every bit that you can learn makes your life flow better. I mean, at least that's been my experience.
I know, because you know what? I'm still learning from other mentors and teachers. I've learned from so many different ones. And every time there's just a little thing that makes me go, oh, you know what I mean? Yeah. And you just keep hearing about it in different ways. So that's one thing I just want to offer to the human design world, is the way that I've learned and put things together from all the different places I've learned it from. I've learned from a bunch of different sources, and I'm like, oh, well, this is the way I understand it, so. And I did this, so it's called How to Use Human Design Practically to Create Ease and Flow in Your Life and Work.
I love it.
It's fun. I love doing this stuff. So, okay, I think that's the last slide. Yeah, it is. So you will have access to that, right, Michelle? Do you want to, like, in the post or whatever you could just put that.
I'll drop the link and the instructions, so it's super easy for people.
Yeah.
That's what we're aiming to do.
Yeah, sounds great. I hope this was helpful.
It was helpful to me, and I really hope that's helpful for everybody that's catching us on the replay. So I just wanted to thank you for taking your time and sharing this with us. I know I had a good time and I learned a great deal. So thank you so much.
No problem. I thought it was fun.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you, everybody. And I hope that you enjoyed our time here with Rebecca Tervo today.